Welcome back. You're watching Business AM. If you are just joining us now, the hashtag is Business AM. Please join the conversation in line. And we are absolutely honored to have in studio Dr. Manu Chandaria, who has just joined us. And we are really looking forward to this conversation with you. Thank you for making time to come and join us on Metropole TV. I guess, your story has been told and you probably need no introduction to many Kenyans, but I'm curious about some of your earliest memories as a child.
Well, earliest memory was, it all started because of my father came over here to earn a living. And after 6 months of work, 18 hours a day, sleeping in a shop at night, and having 3 meals at the owner's home. Had a dream of about 4,000 rupees. At that time, until 1923, the currency in Kenya was rupees. So he thought that he will just earn that 4,000 and go back. After 6 months of hard work, and he asked the owner and said, now can we agree on my salary? And he said, yes, we can agree on your salary. You're a good worker. You've done very hard work. Now, it'll be 20 rupees a month, 6 months, 120 rupees. So his dreams shattered. Now, he had gone only 3 vernacular in Gujarati in our language. So he didn't study anything further than that. But then it was a colony. So for everything that he had to, he said, I will not go back, but I will work hard and earn my 4,000, then go. So and then he started finding it so difficult because every place he wanted to go, he could not speak, read, or write English. So when he go to the post office, he has to go, somebody used to come with him. Or the bank, somebody has to come with him. You have to go and buy some goods from an European company, somebody has to come with him. So he felt very frustrated, and he said that, look, if the future of my children are going to be any different than mine, I better make very sure that they study and they educate themselves. And so there was a real pressure on growth in saying that educate and there's nothing going back. And at night, if we are just in the early morning, if we are putting a page upside down and reading it, he would not know because it wouldn't hear it.
Were you a naughty child?
No. The point is that many of our Asians who have come over here hardly had studied anything. But then slowly, they started learning the vernacular language over here, Kikuyu or Swahili, or if they are in the coast, then they will learn something else. But purely for business purposes, it was very difficult. So he made very sure that we got up early in the morning, we studied hard, and he always wanted to see that how we were faring in our school. Then I think during 1939, 40s, I think the Mussolini, at that time ruling Italian Somaliland, and Hitler joined hands. And so they felt that now the war is coming to Kenya because Somalia was the neighbor. And there was no other neighbor that they can go to. So our parents were very upset about the whole thing and said every child, lady, woman, an old person goes to India. And so we all went to India. I still remember that while on the ship, while we were just getting onto the ship, the siren came, and all of a sudden, the ship has to really move fast, and went about 100 kilometers or so from here, because they thought that it might be just destroy everything. And then, when settled down, it came back again. The point, so he decided that you study, and there's no other issues about it. And then when we finished our matriculation, that means O levels, then they said, right, go to university now. So we went to university. and for 4 years university in Mumbai. And it was a time when Gandhi was running his Quit India movement. So we were very highly impressed by his work and his philosophy. And so that remained in our lifetime, because we thought that, and his main philosophy was ahimsa, means non-violence, number one. Number two, truth. Number three, that everybody has a view. So it's you are the only right one view, and the other one doesn't have. That doesn't work. It just you have to listen to both the views.
You have to respect everybody's views.
Yeah, true. So and sacrifice for the country, because he was a good lawyer, had earned well. It was an etiquette, on those times, three-piece suit and whatnot. And he left everything, and he went around the country. Now, he said, without sacrifice, nothing is possible. So that really remained with us. And he said that, look, in Quit India movement, you should not buy anything which is imported, number one. I wish we can do it in Kenya.
You should not buy something?
Anything which is imported from outside.
You should not buy anything that is imported?
From outside.
Interesting.
Number one. Number two, anything manufactured from equipment which are imported from outside, you must not buy. So that means we have to depend on spinning every day. What Gandhi used to spin, we used to spin 1 hour a day. And if we don't spin 1 day or 2 days, then there'll be a patch on the shirt. Because it's only 3 shirts and 2 pair of pants. And that sacrifice for 4 years was something which was brought a different culture in our own mind. It created a sense of work, a sense of that you have to be disciplined. Without discipline, nothing will work. So, and then they decided that family decided that we should go to America. And my brother and myself then went to America. And I did my engineering, and he did his food technology. So it was, and this was not in my own community, the Biashara community, you call Biashara street community. This community, there are hardly any graduates. The first graduate probably came down in 1935, and we were among top 5 or 6. So it was.
Your dad was clearly very serious about education.
Yeah.
Was it your choice to study engineering, and how did you arrive on that profession as a choice?
Well, because during the war, we lost a lot of our businesses, and then there was one plant left out, and that's Calworks, making sufurias. 40 people, 6 members of the family on top of it, and we thought that every time there was an argument in our own mind, we discussed amongst ourselves, why in the hell we are doing this? This is a little place. Why don't we just employ ourselves with somebody? I could be a chief engineer in a couple of years' time. But then the sacrifice during the time of Gandhi and our stay in India, we thought about that our parents had worked from nothing all his lifetime and brought us where we are. Now, should we just abandon them and say, thank you very much? Or we should work. For 6 months, 4 of us were arguing about my 2 cousins and our 2 brothers too. We were continuously arguing about it and said, no. If they paid a price for it, we need to make sure that we return and make sure that the family gets somewhere.
How was that experience, though, just getting into Calworks, family, You've come back from the United States. You have your degree in engineering. You have your master in engineering. Your brother has his in food technology. How was it like, saying,
Well,
we'll stick by this and we'll turn it around?
It was very difficult mentally, because we had seen some more dreams when we were in the United States. So we thought that, what is this? It's a little place, that tiggy place that you got. But that put us into, again, back to what is known as hard work. And we worked. We never saw Saturday, never Sunday, no holidays, nothing. And by 5 years, we had 500 people working. So it was continuous pressure on yourself.
From 6 people to 500 people in 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years time, yeah.
What was your first salary like, and how did you have that conversation with the family?
You see, we are a joint family.
Yeah.
So in our joint family, there's only one home. We are 36 members in one home, staying together. So my salary was, I think, 200 Kenya shillings. And then out of that 200 shillings, my brother will take away 190 for running the home. And I'll have 10 shillings. That's it.
Wow. So how did you then grow, from Calworks and into the others? And what are some of the decisions that you made along the way?
Well, Calworks had started almost in 1929, just as old as me probably. And then it was not expanding. So we thought that there is a market, countries are becoming independent. But at the time when we were there, it was colonial rule. I joined in 1951. Until 1963, we were under colonial rules. So it was very difficult to really get anything done, because you don't have the white skin. You can't go to the bank and negotiate anything. You cannot import very much, because they will say, not possible. So against all odds, we decided that we'll just start manufacturing various products. So from Sufarias, we started all the aluminum kitchenware that you would wanted. We manufactured hurricane lanterns. We started manufacturing nails and all kinds of metal that we can touch. And that gave us an edge on everybody. And by 800 people working in about 8 years' time. And that's how it was built.
How did the economy change, at independence in '63, and how did that affect entrepreneurship at the time?
Well, entrepreneurship requires much more pressure on yourself, because you cannot get anything done, number one. So if you can't get things done, then you have to find ways and means to get things done. And I think that it was because there was no manufacturing in the country at that time, really. So it opened up and people started using it. So I think that the point, it was most difficult period, hard work, difficult period that we went through. But we established and become one of the East Africa's leading company. And our goods were sold in Kenya, Tanzania, Tanganyika, Uganda, Ethiopia, Zambia, Belgium, Congo. So it gave us a lead in the whole thing. And then I think after a while, in 58 or 60, one of the person by the name of Sir Ernest Wezi, he used to be the Minister of Finance in the colonial government in Kenya. So we used to take off and on his advice. And he said, listen, now the point is that every country is getting independent, and they will all require your capital and not your market, not your product only. So then we decided that yes, we went back in Mombasa, forgot about 1 year. So it's easy life in Mombasa, why bother all this? But after a year we felt that no, he has some sense in saying this. So we sent members of the family to Tanganyika, Uganda, Ethiopia, Zambia, and in 5 years' time, it was so difficult because every country, like Congo had a French language, Ethiopia had Amharic
Amharic,
language, and you walk on the street, and there was no changeover possibility that if I'm short over here, I send you the money. It was not possible. But it worked well, and in 5 years' time, we became a Pan-African company.
What are some of the guiding principles that you decided? I know you've talked about Gandhi a lot, and of course the impact that his ideologies had on your life and on the direction that that it took. What are some of your guiding principles that have made sure the companies that you have managed right from then until now continue to be at the top of their game?
I think that the biggest thing that you require is honesty. Honesty, not only honesty in dealing with the money, but honesty with the purpose. I can come any time and I sit around and do nothing. My purpose was to do work. So honesty of every nature that you got to. That was the first basic principle. Number two, nothing can be achieved without hard work. There is no time limit. Oh, it's now 5 o'clock. Sorry, close. That's not on. Any time, every time is a time to work and build yourself. So there is a possibility for everything to come through, but these two things. And then morality, keeping relations with your clients, relations with your people, staff, is an art in its own. And it's difficult to learn first. You cannot just say, "Hey with you." It is not a possibility. I think that you bend 3 times if there is a way that you can find a solution. So these are the important part. And then regularity, good health, everything has to be kept proper. Now, all this requires a lot of determination. And you're going like this, and all of a sudden you just sway away from it. And that's what happened to many people, that they cannot keep it together.
Let's talk about manufacturing, which is something that you've been very passionate about. You've sat on many boards within that sector. What are your thoughts about where we are, as a country in terms of manufacturing?
I think we manufacture quite a bit here in this country. Unfortunately, point is that we do not have the scale. We have East African community, and East African community, when Mr. Musaura was the chief secretary for a commissioner for East African community, he came back after 5 years and told me that, "Look, Mr. Chandaria, your private sector is sitting, doing nothing, while EABC is being built. So you do something about it." And at that time we had, as I told you, that we had already Uganda, Tanzania, Zambia. So it was only 3 countries at that time, a community. So I said, all right. I discussed, and then finally we created, and I founded what is known as East African Business Council, just to have a negotiation with East Africa at the commission. Because you need to broaden the market. If your market is only small, then it's not a possibility. At that time when I came, it was 8 million people. The market was so small. So unless you keep on items by items, variety of things that you manufacture, very little but variety of items, so that you can meet the requirements. But then more than that was that how can we get all together so that we can get East African market. At that time the total population was not more than 20 million. Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, today we are talking about 80 million. So the question was how to meet those market demands and how to create that harmony between the countries. And today many times you just find Tanzania is not playing the ball or Uganda is not playing the ball because we have all that we can do. But we are doing enough? No, we are not doing enough. Number two, we cannot understand that if we want to look after our children, and today almost 3 million youth are pacing streets. Some are university graduates, some dropped out, some secondary school education, some dropped out, and some primary school who has become 18 years old. So it might be 3.5 million. And come January, another 500,000 will be added. So how do we see this issue? Unless you see a mega picture and say that, no, I'm sorry, I can be friends with everybody, but I need at least a bread on my table. And I can't see my children sitting at home doing nothing. So I think that there is a major possibility in the country because we are far ahead of Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia. We are far ahead. Now Ethiopia is catching up.
Yes.
Maybe even become number 1 and will become number 2. So the point is that we have a capacity and we have, but determination is not there. It's just moving like this. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, sometimes a good policy, sometimes bad policy. And any policy which is not good kills the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want us to take a very short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about entrepreneurship. I would like to, listen to a little bit more about your thoughts on how the younger entrepreneurs we're seeing now can scale, can take advantage of the, less boundaries within the region as well. So we'll take a very quick break. Don't go too far. When we come back, we're still in conversation with Dr. Manu Chandaria.